Hello, everyone. Welcome. Welcome to our K-12 session titled Driving Impactful Instruction with Google Workspace for Education. We have a full 90-minute workshop for you today that will hopefully provide lots of examples, almost an anthology of stories from schools across the country that we have been learning from over the last few years. So we are going to kind of get started really by introducing ourselves and where we're from and how we connected and work with Google as a Google for Education PD partner. So my name is Kelly York, and I'm from 5-Star Technology Solutions. Former educator. We are in the PD department. We are a Google for Education partner that works with hundreds of school districts and organizations from coast to coast, and even some national or international, which is very, very cool. We have a data analytics team. We have a crew of Google engineers, and my team is part of our professional development team. So we are kind of a three-armed company here. But our entire PD team are actively licensed educators and administrators that work full-time now for 5-Star. And one of our favorite things to do is to do events like this for Google and to make sure that we are sharing all of the useful information that is out there that can create an easier life for educators. So that is what we truly, truly love to do by the way of technology. So joining me today in presenting is my colleague Rosanna Ortiz, and I will let her introduce herself here in just a moment. So I do really quickly want to set the stage for these next 90 minutes. We want you to experience firsthand some of the impact that Google for Education's free and paid teaching and learning tools can have on your organization. Our hope is to share some of the ways that schools have used Google Workspace for Education tools to impact instruction. Each tool we will share is part of a larger story, and we want you to become immersed in it by following along with us if you can. If not, we are going to provide you with a guidebook of things that you can take away and kind of walk through and practice on your own as well. So we are going to share a link to this guidebook in the chat, and you may find it helpful to have it open in your same window, or you could even split screens if you would like to do that. But you definitely are going to want to give this guy a bookmark here so that you can come back to this later. This will be a really nice get started guide for your educators in your school. So make sure that you save that so that we can get back to that at a later time. You will also find a list of all the features you will see in our demo animations in case you want to do the same, like I said, for your educators in your building or whoever you may want to share this with. Shout it from the rooftops. That's what we always say. So going through your guidebook really quickly, you're going to find a couple things. This is going to give you your agenda on all the things that we are going over today. And we will start with Google Classroom, which Rosanna will give you a reminder there. That's on page 4. Okay, so as we get ready to dive in, we encourage that you get comfortable, establish your space for learning during these next 90 minutes. Snacks are always encouraged here at 5-Star, so we encourage you to get your snacks, put up your do not disturb settings, kick off your shoes, get that blanket, whatever makes you feel cozy and tuned into that zone. We have a team ready to tackle questions that come up as we explore some of the different workspace tools. So please utilize the chat with any questions that you may have. And then we hope to have some time at the end to answer any questions that may come in. But if we don't, there will be opportunities for you to get those questions answered at a later date. We have a very diverse group joining us today. Hello from everyone all over. We are so happy that you're here. We hope that you feel encouraged to engage in peer learning through the chat and make your thinking visible, because we want to learn with you. So collaboration is the key to success around here. All right. So you already can see we have lots of topics to cover today. So we are going to get started with our mission control, which is Google Classroom. This is where we're going to deliver everything from, and everything goes in it. So Rosanna, I will let you introduce yourself and kick things off with Google Classroom.
Awesome. Thank you, Kelly. As she mentioned, I'm Rosanna Ortiz, and I'm a professional development specialist for 5-Star. Been on the team now for over 5 years, which is crazy to believe. I am a licensed teacher and Google certified trainer. Prior to joining 5-Star, I worked as an elementary teacher for about 10 years in St. Louis, Missouri, Silver Spring, Maryland, and also in the Indianapolis, Indiana area. I'm so excited to be here today and share some of the greatest tools and features within Google. And as Kelly said, we're going to get started right away with our mission control, which is Google Classroom. So one of the biggest challenges teachers, families, students, administrators experience is that feeling that we're all over the place. This is a general statement that we heard and have been hearing from schools and families throughout these last few years. Teachers, students, families, they need a single spot to go with a consistent navigation where their students can find assignments and resources from their teacher, but also it needs to be simple for educators to be able to distribute those important assignments and resources and share it in a spot where everyone gets notified and has access. So Google Classroom has some new updates that increases the functionality of this already dynamic tool for educators and makes it so that everything can live right within Classroom and there's no need to go anywhere else. Everything functions within Classroom so that now tab management becomes easier and the ability to access various assignments and resources becomes easier. So some of the new features we are going to be discussing are how there is simplified ways to make internal sharing really easy with things like roster syncing and multi-class scheduling. We'll talk a little bit about the secure and approved app integrations that are now available, how we can copy course templates, and then also the ability to integrate more personalized learning right within Classroom with the newest feature that's set to launch early next year, and that is practice sets. So we are going to take a deeper dive into some of these new features and how they can help solve that challenge of everything being everywhere and bring it all to Classroom so it's that one-stop shop for all of our resources. If you are following along in our guidebook, we are on page 4. That's going to have our Google Classroom information that I will be discussing. Okay, so the first feature update, and this is currently in beta and set to launch, like I said, early next year. But I'm so excited because I'm going to give you a sneak peek at how this is going to transform Google Classroom, and that is the launch of practice sets. Now, a big question that always comes up is, what exactly are practice sets? What do they do? How do they work? And so the best way to describe practice sets is that it's basically when you are in Google Classroom, you are creating almost like a new file, a new resource, and you get to now design this interactive lesson for your students to practice skills that they need to know from the classroom. This is great for independent work. As students learn a concept, they can go back and try it out. This is wonderful for study guides as a preparation for a formative or summative assessment that's upcoming. It's also wonderful for spiral reviews. So you create these practice sets for students to try out these skills that they've been learning, and there is automatic feedback and resources that can help support our students. So we all know, right? The reason why practice sets is going to be so transformative to Google Classroom is because we learn best when we're given that opportunity to practice and get feedback. So with practice sets, there's going to be this opportunity for teachers to save time and better support their students because they're going to create these interactive lessons that allow for more personal feedback for our students. So with this, educators build this content into these interactive assignments. Now those assignments are auto graded, so it's going to cut down on that manual grading time. And as students are completing these practice sets, they get that real time feedback. So they know whether they're on the right track as they're answering these questions, or if they're struggling with a concept, there are going to be built into the practice sets visual explainers and videos that can help support students in trying that material again. If students get something right, there's a celebration with fun animations and confetti that tell the students, hey, you're doing it, you're on the right track. And all of this performance information, all of that is captured for teachers right within Classroom. So they can go in, they can see that performance data, and then they can use that to help shape their future lesson plans. So if they need to go back, touch base with a student, reteach, they now have that data to know where their students are at, and moving forward, how they can adjust their teaching and content. So again, if you're still wondering, what is this going to look like? How is this going to work? I am going to give you a sneak peek. I'm going to go live into practice sets and show you what those features are going to be once practice sets launch in your domain. And give you a little inside look at how you can build and what your students are going to experience with practice sets. But first, before I go live into practice sets, I do want to share some of those additional features within Google Classroom that have become available really in the past year or so that teachers and students can rely on and make it so that Google Classroom is our mission control and our one-stop shop for everything that we need. So a couple of these other features that I want to touch on first. Google Classroom, one of the most requested features that's now available is the ability to import rosters. So this is really impactful for our educators, our school leaders, our curriculum directors. When thinking about the setup and management of Classroom, districts now with Education Plus now have the ability to automatically set up classes and keep rosters in sync with their student information system. This is all powered by Clever. So IT admins can create classes via Clever, meaning teachers don't have to go in and manually create these classes themselves or invite students to join these classes. Just a time saver for our teachers, which we always love. Now, if teachers do like to create these classes individually, this isn't going to overwrite that. They still have that ability. They still can do that. Also, Google knows that we use external tools, right? But it can be a lot for us going from tool to tool to create assignments and then sync it to Google Classroom to create that assignment. So now, with a new update that again was released just recently, the integration of external resources is so much better. Students and teachers now have the ability to use those favorite classroom tools as an add-on right there in Google Classroom. So you can go in, you can create an assignment, you can select an add-on, and then if you are, for example, an iExcel or Kahoot user, you as the teacher can go and find that lesson that you want to assign to your students right from Classroom, create that assignment, share it with students. And now our students can go in, they open up that assignment right in Classroom again, and they can complete that Kahoot or that iExcel assignment right there. This eliminates those extra tabs. This eliminates that need for multiple logins because all of that work appears in our Google Classroom window. No extra tabs. I love that because tab management for me is a huge issue. Sometimes I open up so many tabs and I don't know where anything is. Everything is going to live in that classroom window for our students and for our teachers. Another update is that educators can now create a classroom copy. So this feature makes it really easy if we're creating some course templates in subject areas or with department teams. They can work together in creating and sharing common assessments. They can organize their primary and secondary resources. They can create project scopes or any of those types of resources and keep that consistency amongst grade levels. So now, again, a huge time saver for our teachers because they don't have to create and recreate. They can work with their team. They can design those lessons. They can design that content. And once that course is developed, all they have to do is simply click to make a copy of that class. And now they have that ready for that school year, for that semester, whatever the case might be. Okay, finally, the last feature that I know a lot of the educators I work with have been really excited to use is the ability to schedule assignments to multiple classes. So this gives you more opportunity to plan ahead, right? You can create a single assignment and customize when that assignment is published and then when that assignment is due by your class period or by your course. So there's no need now to make multiple assignments and schedule those. You can do that all within one single assignment creation and schedule those out for all of your classes or courses that you teach. Again, a huge time saver for our teachers. And I know a lot of my teachers that I've been working with are loving that feature and that ability to plan ahead. Okay, I'm so excited because I'm going to go live. And now I'm going to go back and give you that preview of practice sets, okay? These are going to be the features, just so that you know, that are available at the time of launch for practice sets. Know that there are more updates coming. There are more feature requests that we're hearing from educators that are going to become available as we continue to build and practice sets becomes more and more robust, okay? So it is still in development. Once it launches, that's not going to be the final version of practice sets, right? Google is taking in all of that feedback and continuing to make feature updates to it. So just know that I'm going to share those features that are available at the time of launch, but there are more to come, okay? I also want to mention that if you are looking at the slide deck that has been shared with you, you are going to notice that in that slide deck, there are going to be slides 16 to 23, and those have the features that I'm going to be sharing. So you can go back, you can reference those slides once practice sets is available in your domain. And so then you can start using these features and start building your own practice sets for your students, okay? Also a note, if you're following along in our guidebook, so here's our guidebook. This is page 4 again. If you are following along for this, for some of our Google Workspace applications, we are going to do this application activity together that's listed here. But for the sake of Google Classroom, because not everyone has practice that's available, it's still in beta, we're not going to actually complete this application activity. Okay, so you can come back to this, do this as a little extra credit assignment, but instead I want to give you that sneak peek of what to anticipate with those interactive assignments using practice sets, okay? If you do want to share any information about practice sets with other teachers in your district or with curriculum directors, etc., I do have listed here a link that gives an introduction for what to anticipate with practice sets. So that has a blog and a little video that you can watch to help educate and teach others about what is to come with practice sets. Okay, but I'm going to go live and I'm going to show you the power of practice sets and what you can expect with it. So I'm going to go to Google Classroom. I'm going to open up my home page for Google Classroom, and I'm going to create a new practice set. Now, there's a couple of ways that you can access and create practice sets. I'm going to show you one way right now, and then I'll show you another way here in just a moment. But I'm going to go to that main menu in the top left of my screen, and I click on those 3 lines. And now here I'm going to select practice sets, that third option. It says new. You probably don't see it unless you are enrolled in the beta. If you do have the beta, feel free to share in the chat. I'm not keeping my eye on there quite yet, but how it's going for you, how your teachers are using it, because we'd love to hear that as well. But I'm going to open up a new practice set. And when I open this, we are going to land on your current library of practice sets. So anything that you have created, again, this is like creating a new file within your Google Classroom with interactive questions and opportunities for students to practice those skills. Now, again, these are your practice sets. We have heard that, we want the ability to share practice sets across colleagues, etc. Those are all features that are to come that we'll continue to build upon as practice sets becomes more robust, okay? So I'm going to create a new practice set. And you'll notice here now I have this ability to name my practice set. I'm going to, for this example, just draw on my elementary experience and create a practice. Again, I've taught something, maybe elapsed time to my students, and now I want them to try it out, see what they know, see what information is still missing. I mentioned it at the beginning, but this is a great opportunity for students to try things that they've already been taught, prepare for an upcoming assessment, or also if you are doing some sort of spiral review where you want to create questions that incorporate content that your students learned at the beginning of the school year, last year, etc. And you want to refresh their memory on those skills or concepts because they're going to need it for an upcoming lesson that you're doing, okay? So I'm doing one for elapsed time. I've taught this. Now I want my students to practice this skill out. You'll notice here, I'm going to be able to insert questions. These fields are going to be very familiar to you if you have worked with Google Forms before, because you're editing these very similarly to how you would edit a Google form. But it's more robust than that, right? There's more to it, and I'll show you where that comes in here in just a moment. So here I can insert a question. I've done a little bit of pre-work here, and I have a word problem related to elapsed time that I'm going to paste right into that question box. Okay, so I have my question in there. And now I can choose from this drop-down menu next to my question, what question type I would like this to be. So I can click that drop-down menu, and I have 4 question types to choose from. Okay, notice my short answer, my single select, and my multi-select all have that word auto there. So these are going to be questions that can be auto-graded, and students will get that immediate feedback on how they did, what their performance was like for that question. I'm going to leave this as a short answer for the purpose of this question. Okay, and now here in this field below, I have this ability to insert my correct answers. Just like with Google Forms, if you're familiar with it, you would need to enter all of the possible correct answers that you would be willing to accept. So I can enter 3 o'clock, I might enter 3 p.m., okay, and I would need to enter all of those possible correct answers that I would say, yes, that when it's auto grading, those would be correct and it would mark that as correct for my students. Now, here, this particular question is with time, so there's no equivalency here. But if I were doing something related to decimals, related to fractions, and I didn't necessarily want to have multiple correct answers here, I wanted that equivalency to be taken into account, I can also go up to the top of my practice set, and there is this settings cog. I can open up the settings cog, and now there's a couple of options here for that auto grading feature. So I can take into account equivalent answers, yes or no. If I want those to be graded as correct, I can enable that. Or if I'm an ELA, history teacher, et cetera, and I'm thinking about capitalization, I can decide if I wanted capitalization to be ignored, yes or no. And I can enable and disable those for each of my practice sets that I'm creating. I will say save here. Okay, and now those settings are there. Another note here in the question field and also in the correct answer field. Notice when I hover in here, I also have this math sigma. Okay, this isn't something that I use for this particular problem, but for my math and science teachers, you are going to love this because built right into practice sets is a math keyboard. So I can click on that math sigma and I can open up a math keyboard all within classroom set or practice sets. I don't need to have another extension or tool to do this. I can insert special characters, formulas, math symbols, etc., all with my math keyboard here. Love that. I love that feature so much because that is one of the top requested features I have for my math teachers is there something that I can use to insert formulas? Yes, with practice sets there is. There is a math keyboard you can use. Okay, love that, love that. Okay, right now, this feels very much like a Google Forms quiz, right? Where is the power of practice sets? How is this different? So let me show you here one big difference, and that is with these skills. So at the bottom of my first question, I see this skills area. So these skills are going to be those tips, those hints that students can access at any time as they're completing a practice set to get more support. This is also where Google's AI comes in, and it is going to look at this question and give you a suggestion of a skill that might relate to your question that you have in there. So I can click on this See Suggested, and now here are two suggested skills based on my elapsed time word problem. So I can choose from one of these suggested skills, subtract measures of time, or calculate elapsed time. I'm going to choose that second option there. Okay. Now, this is again a resource, a video, a tool that's going to help students as they're completing this practice set. That's automatically generated by Google. I don't have to find that resource. It's going to look at those skills and it's going to insert a support material for my students. So I can search here for another skill. So I'm just going to do time. And now I have these other options. So I can do solve word problems with time, solve word problems involving time. I think that one fits more, so I'm going to choose that second option. I can have up to 3 skills per question. Now, again, these are all skills that are automatically generated by Google. Another top requested feature is, can I add my own resources in? To come, okay, that's a feature to come and coming soon as, again, practice sets is continued to be developed and grown. So I have these skills now, those tips, those hints that my students can access with that particular question. Now I can continue to add more questions to this by clicking at the bottom, this new question button, or also notice here along the side of my practice set, I also have this plus button that I can add a new question or text. So this would be great if you have directions that you want to give your students, or if you want to have a word bank, maybe a paragraph of information that the students are going to answer questions around, you could add text in there. And then the third option in that menu is importing. So when you are importing, this allows you to take a PDF or a file that you have in your Google Drive or on your device. You can upload that file and then you can snip images of the questions in your file, and then it will import those images as individual questions within your practice set, which is great. Again, more features to come with that. So if you have other practice sets and you want to pull questions in, those are all features that are going to be developed and to come with practice sets. Okay, I can continue editing this, I can continue building this, but for now, I want to go back and show you the student perspective now of this and what this would look like for the students. So I'm going to click on one that I already have made. So I'm going to open up this practice set that I've already developed. And at any point when I'm developing a practice set, I can try it as a student. So I can click on this button, and now I will see what my students are going to see when they are going through and working through these questions. So I have a mix in this particular practice set of math and science questions. So I can preview all of those questions in there. And now notice the tools that my students have. So if I'm here on this first question and I'm not quite sure how to do this, I need a little help, this is unfamiliar to me, I'm not feeling confident with this, I can click on this light bulb and now it's going to show this hint. Again, this is a skill that was pulled in. I didn't have to create this. This was Google's AI. I selected that skill, and now there's this video that my students can watch, and this is going to play right here within Google Classroom to help them answer that question. Also note here with each question, I also have this ability to show my work. So I can open up this notepad and I can enter text if I need to jot some information down in this text box to help me solve a problem. I can also, if I want to draw a diagram or create, actually solve, go through the steps of solving a problem, I can also at the top left of my screen click on this inking tool, this little doodle that you see, and now I can open up a pen and I can use this pen to draw a diagram that might help me solve this problem as well. Okay, so I can go in and use that canvas, and it's an open canvas that I can expand and go and solve that word problem. Okay. Also note, I have this extra help flag in the bottom right of my screen, so I can click on this extra help. And now these are going to be resources. And again, notice that in my practice set, I have a combination of math and science concepts. So these are all going to be resources related to any skill that I have attached to my practice set. So anything that I've added to those questions, these are now going to be here. These are additional resources that my students can draw on or use at any point as they're answering these questions. And again, when I click on one, it's going to open up right here in Google Classroom, not in a new tab. Love that, love that, love that. Saves so much time. Okay. Students will go in, they can have any of those tools available to them as they're working through each of these questions, and then they can try it out, right? So they can select a response, check their answer, and with those auto-graded questions, they're going to get that immediate feedback. If an answer is incorrect, notice that red X, and notice that the hint lights up and it says, maybe you want to check this out. So students can now access that, and then they can try again, check their answer, and again, an animation appears that says, yep, you got that one correct. Okay, so students have that immediate feedback on how they're doing with each question. Okay, now again, this is the student view, so you can practice this, you can see this at any point as you're creating your own practice sets. I'm going to close this tab, and I'm going to go back, and I am ready at this point. I've created a practice set file. Now I'm ready to add this to one of my Google Classrooms and assign it to my students. So I'm going to go to my main menu, and I'm going to open up one of my sandbox classes. I'm going to go to the classwork section, and now I'm going to create a sample assignment for my students. Okay, and notice here I can edit this just as I would all of my normal assignments in Google Classroom. Instructions are not optional. We always say that in 5-star. But notice in this attach section, here is where you now have this ability to attach a new practice set. This is going to look like that main menu where I access the practice sets. This is going to have a very similar screen. You'll see your practice set library. You can create a new practice set, but I don't need to create a new practice set. I'm just going to assign one that I already have in my library. Okay, if I needed to edit this or try it, I could, but I'm just going to click on that attach. And now here it is. It's part of my assignment, and I can assign it to my students. And now I would have that ready to go. My students can access that right within Google Classroom. Okay. I am so excited because I think practice sets are going to be so transformative and open up the doors for so many possibilities in our classrooms and for our students and educators. I am loving it, and I can't wait to see where it goes as it continues to be built and grown. We are going to keep going. We have a lot to cover still. So we're going to go back to Kelly, and she is going to share some information on Google Classroom's originality reports. So Kelly.
All right. Thank you so much, Rosanna. I am so thrilled that Practice Sets is finally on that slow release timeline for everyone, because it is certainly going to make a drastic change in how we use Google Classroom and the Google for Education workspace in general. So thanks for all of those fantastic demos. Okay, so we are going to advance to page 5 in our guidebook here, and this is all about Google Classroom's originality reports. So to get us started here, want to just talk really quickly about, when we are working with our coaches, some of the things that they constantly bring to us is how we can solve the problem of these very tech savvy, but yet nonetheless unoriginal copyright violations of our students. So for one particular teacher, she was doing a quick search and yielded so many great results that the temptation was to just do a quick copy paste, that CV, rather than dive into the writing process and come up with something original. So sharing work has gotten easier with digital formats. So even originality amongst students and classes have really been struggling. Of course, there are programs out there, like No Red Ink or others that are similar that can help us tackle some of these problems. But of course, when it can be built into the ecosystem that you are already using, it makes things just that much more cohesive and feels easy to tackle. So when we were looking at our coaches kind of cry for help here of the crazy easy copy and paste struggle, the power of Google Originality Reports was a perfect solution that the instructional coach shared with that English teacher that was really struggling. So this feature kept students from feeling penalized by researching online and sharing their writing with others. It helped them celebrate their authentic writing. It helped them compare by searching web pages and school matches for similar content and text. And most importantly, it helps them avoid that plagiarism. So let's take a look at some of the features that are really important to point out with Google's originality reports. So I am going to go to a live demo here. This is always my very favorite. This is a quick one actually, because we are not doing this live with students. So I am going to do my very best by showing you kind of how this process can work and where you can find this switch, so to speak, in Google Classroom. So I'm going to come over to my tab group for originality reports here. I have already pre-created this quick and easy little example for an assignment type that I can give this to my students here. So again, back in the guidebook, you are going to see this application activity. Okay, so this is going to give you basically exactly what I'm going to be demoing for you today. This is going to give you the ability to do that yourself by following some of these same steps. So this template right here is actually what I am going to be demoing. So this is my practice assignment. So what I'm going to do in my Google Classroom, since we have already gone through, we know how to find assignments, we know how to get to our coursework there. So I have preset this assignment in Google Classroom. Of course, I have my title. I even threw a little emoji in there. Those are always super fun. Volcanoes test activity, put in the instructions. Again, yes, Rosanna, never optional. And then I went ahead and linked from my drive my originality reports assignment. Now, one of the most important steps here is that you are going to want to make sure that you switch to make a copy for each student, so that way they have their own copy of this work and can turn in their own original work. Okay, so make sure that that is set there. Then all you have to look for is down here on this right sidebar. It says check for plagiarism. You are going to check that box, and when you do so, that is going to allow your students to get feedback from their work. So not only will you be able to see that work, your students will also be able to see where they may have struggled synthesizing information or summarizing it in their own words. So what that is going to actually look like, so you're going to assign this just as normal. And then from the student perspective, check this out. So obviously this is a test example created to deliberately catch some things. So anywhere that there are, little yellow highlights here is going to be where there is problems, all right? We have used too much copy paste. We have used too much language that is maybe considered plagiarism. And then from the teacher end, there is an originality report that gets sent for each student that you can access. Obviously, pick your battles. You're not going to want to run this for every single assignment, right? Because this is a lot to look through from the teacher's end. You certainly could. You've got, if you are with the free licensure, you've got 3 that you can utilize. So if you are using this for the Google Workspace for Ed free version, then you do have 3 free chances to use originality reports. So you can get these reports and you are able to then see, okay, here's the student passage here, and this is the top web match. Uh-oh, that's pretty exact, right? So then it's also going to tell you exactly where this was pulled from. So that's a conversation then from the teacher's perspective. We can go back to that student, we can have that conversation around, hey, did we really summarize this? Did we take what it was saying and put this into your own words here? And hopefully the student will say, I may have let that one slip, right? So this is going to generate a lot of really good conversations from the student teacher connection as well. So again, you're going to create an assignment. You are going to add it to Google Classroom. Make sure you make a copy for each student. Add that check mark to check for that plagiarism. It has originality right there. And then you are going to see from the student end where it flags, and from the teacher end, that report. So again, this feature here is really, really going to change the way that we work with our LMS using assignment integrations. So whether you're using it in a classroom or through the assignment integration, turning on those originality reports is a simple checkbox for teachers when creating these assignments. I do all Google Workspace for Education teachers can use this feature up to 5 times in a class or a course, and students can report on their work up to 3 times before turning it in. So upgraded Workspace licenses have unlimited reports. So there is definitely some benefit there as you think about, obviously, multiple semesters, multiple students. That limitation can sometimes be a challenge. So once again, automation has enabled extended search and translations to compare student-created work against hundreds of billions of web pages and books in minutes. And this tool actually analyzes text in over 15 languages. So really neat there. Again, just a little bit of a note on the licensing. If you have the Teaching and Learning Upgrade or the Education Plus licensing, I mentioned before you can run unlimited reports. While you also need to know that it is with the upgraded license, the search can also drill down into your school's domain account files. So not only to compare against published web pages and books, but also to flag passages for originality with other student submitted work. So you got those friends that usually work together. Yikes, their assignment may seem a little too close for comfort. This is going to flag that for them. And for you. So lots of really amazing things here in the originality reports. Again, you can refer back here to the guidebook, and this is going to give you some demo features here, some links to learn more, including an overview handout and how to turn this on in your Google Workspace instance. Okay, Well, that is all for originality reports. Hopefully that if you have not seen how originality reports or the summary report that comes out of them, you will be able to have more information now and get that going for you and your educators and students. Okay, the next one, as you begin to think about your feedback and measuring progress for large initiatives, one super popular question is, how can we see our data in one place? So we're going from originality reports, which is a really cool kind of element that Google has built into Classroom and assignments for you to kind of pull different data pieces, right? And so kind of along the same line of looking at data and make sure we're comparing and doing some analysis, data is one of those things that schools are really struggling with, right? We're struggling with data all over the place. We've got pounds and stacks of spreadsheets that are accruing, and we've got multiple places that we're having to enter things and multiple places to pull and look for our data. And that how can we see and visualize our data in one place question is a question that our company, especially our data analytics team, hears multiple times a day. So this is where Google has been able to really shine in pairing with its Looker Studio. And I want to take a pause really quick because some of you may be thinking, Looker Studio, what in the world is that? I've never heard of it. This is the new branding and name for what was previously known as Data Studio. So Looker Studio is now, add that to your vocabulary bank there. That's a new one for us. So this is replacing Data Studio, but all of the same wonderful things are still inside of it. So where we can easily access and quickly start navigating a presentation that's easy to read, analyze, and visualize. So the visualization is definitely my very favorite part of Looker Studio. So once again, we are on page 6 in our guidebook, and this is going to have probably some of the most activity for application here. And I am going to walk you through all of that here in just a moment. But first, I want to give some updates on all things new and good with Looker Studio. So we know that data can tell some amazing stories, but sometimes it just feels too complex or complicated for others to read and form those opinions or informed decisions for instruction, RTI, things of that nature. So schools, obviously, we know, have so much data, and they don't always know what to do with it all because there's no real great way to visualize it and allow us to tell a story. So this is where this application for today in Looker Studio can really make an impact. So testing and assessment coordinators, huddle up, listen up. This one's for you for sure. This is going to change your world. In our school scenario for Looker Studio, in our guidebook, we shared a school scenario where we shared a common challenge that schools have with getting to the diagnosis. So you can take action and help remediate or move the needle to see results. So with Looker Studio, users can visualize any spreadsheet or data set with real-time updates. What's more is that when you have some of the upgraded access, you can use the power of the cloud to pull in multiple source data points using BigQuery to do some serious analysis. All right, so let's check it out. Again, page 6 in your guidebook. So Looker Studio is a free application for all Google Workspace education users, but not one that everyone is super familiar with quite yet because it does live outside of Google Drive. So Looker Studio takes graphs and charts to a whole new level with customization and data tracking, but does so in a way that is super easy and allows you to build those amazing templates. So imagine our test coordinators here building a collection of charts and graphs with all of the cool colors, drop downs galore, different images and graphics. They turn that into a Looker Studio template that every teacher can then use. So the only thing they need to modify is to point to their data response file. The charts feel like they populate auto-magically. So what's more is those beautiful charts can be shared with others without ever giving access to the original database that it's pulling from or the visibility into the data that they don't need to see. So that share setting is really important. All right, so some of the instructional impact of Google Looker Studio is, being able to really see and visualize student and staff absentee reports or student behavior reports, digital tools and approval lists such as apps or paid for subscriptions and programming, allowing teachers to tune in and see, oh, here's all the things that I have available to me. RTI data or progress monitoring. The list can certainly go on and on and on. Student assessment cards, things like that. For those of you with the upgraded or plus Google Workspace for Education licenses, Google is helping build some custom Looker Studio templates for you. And the first one for the Google Classmate Engagement Report is now available to use. And I will be showing you what that looks like here in just a moment. These, you're seeing it on the screen right now, but I'm going to show you a little bit more up close and personal here in just a moment. These reports will be able to pull from domain activity logs that are actually found in the console that are exported to BigQuery. So if you have not heard of BigQuery, think of it as like a giant decoder ring to every data pool of information that you have ever had in your domain. It's a big data warehouse. It lets you make queries or ask questions and will search the entire data warehouse of your exported data to bring results to those Looker Studio charts. Okay, I'm going to take a quick pause because some of you may be asking, what's BigQuery? Do I have to have this in order to use Data Studio? The simple answer here is no. You do not have to have BigQuery in order to use Data Studio. But just remember, Data Studio or Looker Studio, I'm sorry, I'm going to have to get better at that. This is a new change. Add that to my vocabulary. Looker Studio is how your data is visualized. So Studio visualization. And the BigQuery is where the data is stored. So BigQuery pricing is based upon storage and data processed while querying. So Looker Studio can be used in its simplistic form, connecting to a Google Sheet, or you can choose from over 20 Google connectors, which I will show you how to find here in just a moment. Okay, are we ready to dive in? So again, by having the EDU Plus version of Google Workspace for Education, it will allow your tech or data departments to set up your data in a way that it can be exported in order to use the templates provided. For today's demonstration, I am going to be kind of moving fast and not showing some of that import export just because that kind of gets into some data pieces there, but you will get the big picture and that's exciting. Okay. So we are going to go first to our Looker Studio guidebook page because I want to point out a couple things. As I mentioned, you can use Looker Studio at its most simplistic usage through a Google form and visualize your data differently than what it will return in a Google Sheet. So I have a low stakes application in here for you. My apologies, I'm jumping around here. There is a very low stakes activity here where you can fill out this form, which I'm going to show you here in just a second, and then navigate to the Looker Studio example. So if you click on this form, it is, you can actually go to the live version here. So you can fill this out and then you can go and visualize how your data turns into a Looker Studio report here. So let's quickly just kind of pause and back up. So from a lens of just simplicity here. So you are going to create a Google form, right? That's going to be a way that you collect data, whether it's data on what your students have mastered based on their learning targets, whether it's collecting a survey or form in that nature, whatever kind of data you are collecting. You're going to create a form. And then your form is going to turn into responses, right? And your responses is going to turn into a Google Sheet. But who on earth wants to process data like this? Now we know we've got charts, we've got graphs. I already see we've got a couple people that are following along with me today. Thank you so much for those that are tuned in. But there is a better way to do that, and that is through Data Studio. So when you think about analyzing your data either like this or like this, this tells a better story, right? I can visualize where you all are located, right? I think I had maybe somebody from North Carolina this morning take it. So, we've got all of this amazing data here that feeds in to data Google's Looker Studio. And then we can manipulate our data as well. So if I just want to see where my tired folks are at, I can click on tired and it's only going to show me that my tired folks this morning are located in Indiana and one in North Carolina and one in California. I've got some tired folks there. Where are my zany folks? I got a lot of zany folks too. Kind of all over the place. So anyhow, this is visualizing your data using Looker Studio in its most simplistic form. So that's that journey that data is taken. However, what I really want to show you today is the new Data Studio or Looker Studio. We're gonna do it. We're gonna get there by the end of this, folks. The new Looker Studio Google Classroom Activity Report. This can be found in your guidebook right here under number 3. Open up this Looker Studio template, okay? So this is where we really encourage you. Play with this template. I can look at all kinds of data in multiple different ways. I can choose a specific teacher. I can choose a specific organizational unit. So I'm just going to choose Hogwarts here, and then it's going to give me data that is only specific to Hogwarts. I could also go down and just choose partners. My apologies here. Partners, and then it's only going to give me my partners data down here. So lots of different ways that I can manipulate this data, look at this data. I can break it down by overview, teachers, students, classes, and then in true Google fashion, it has lots of information for you on how to make this template your own using your very own Google Classroom data. So you are going to notice right up here that there is a button that says use my own data. So if you click on that, it is going to pop up where you can actually load in your project ID. Now, this is where I was saying, this is going to take some work from those data coordinators, your tech directors, to get that data and project ID loaded in from BigQuery. But once you do that, you can click Add, and automatically your Google Classroom data can be put into your very own report. So while our team doesn't have a whole lot of physical Google Classroom data, you're noticing our data points are very low here. But this is just an example of what one Google Classroom data report here, activity report, could look like after clicking Use My Own Data. So really quickly, you can get to Data Studio by going to datastudio.google.com. I'm actually curious here if you can get there like this too. Yeah, you can. All right, we're on it. We've got all the changes made here. So here is where you can create your own. This is going to be a tall task. So just know that there is some work that goes into putting these together, but once you get that visualization and once you get some of these templates created, it can be a really engaging process to go through, and obviously very rewarding as well, because who doesn't want to look at graphs this beautiful? We use this in 5-star for almost everything we do now, not only just with our analytics department, but also to visualize our own professional development data as well. Once again, in the guidebook, you are going to see under number 2, a Looker Studio Quick Start Guide. This is going to give you all the information that you need to set up the data, to run BigQuery, and get all the step-by-step instructions that you need in order to make your reports your own. So again, this is something that 5-star does on a daily basis, so feel free to reach out to us if you do have any questions on this. We love talking data analytics all day long, but you also have a couple more helpful links right here, learning more about that BigQuery piece. Again, that's in that Ed Plus upgrade, and also some online courses in Analytics Academy. So I believe we are going to switch back here to Rosanna, and Rosanna is going to tell us all about some of the updates in Google Docs that we are really excited about.
Thank you, Kelly. Looker Studio is amazing and definitely a prettier way to look at data for sure. So let's dive into Google Docs. Now, I will say I am loving all of the updates in Google Docs. I feel like it's just getting better and better. And so I'm really excited to share some of the newer updates that are available within Google Docs. So again, thinking about a challenge that schools are facing. So one big concern that we're hearing from districts is that frustration around citing sources. Students are using information from sources, but they're not giving credit where credit is due. So that's a big challenge. We want to make sure that our students are showing that digital citizenship, kind of going back to that originality reports, that they're just not copying information and taking credit for it. We need to teach our students how to do that. We need to provide them with resources for doing that. In addition to this, collaboration amongst students, faculty, it's critical. It's vital to our schools and to the workplace. So having an organized way for groups to work together on projects or creating curriculum, creating scopes and sequences, etc. Google Docs has now become that place that we can go to tackle both of those scenarios, both the citation piece and also that collaboration piece. So we are going to dive in. Again, if you are following along with us, we are on to page 7 of our guidebook, and I'm going to talk through some of our Google Docs tools. So this is one that is not new to Google Docs. It has been around, but every time I talk about it, there's someone in the group that is new to it or that hasn't played with it before. And so that is the Explore tool, the Explore feature of Google Docs. This feature allows you to find content, images, and other material as you're working on things like a research paper, writing a report, creating an essay. You can look at that, you can open up that Explore tool, you can search for a topic, and then you're going to find, again, web results, image results, or things from your drive that you can pull into your own Google Doc. Once you have information pulled into your Google Doc, you can create quick web citations throughout your document using that Explore tool. Now, this is great if you are doing things that are cloud-based, right? If you're using research or pieces of information that are living on the internet. But one thing that we're experiencing is that we want our students to use different publication types. We want them to look outside of the web or the cloud, looking at media, looking at books, etc. And so now there is a citations tool within Google Docs. And this allows you to create 3 different citation types, as well as looking at multiple publication types. So you can use those external sources, and then you can go into Google Docs, open up the citations tool, and you can create a citation with all of that information from that resource that you are looking at. All of those citations are curated together. And once you have all of your citations ready to go, you can click a button at the bottom of the citations tool, and it's going to insert an entire works cited page directly in the bottom of your Google Doc. I wish I had that when I was in school. That would have saved me so much time. Again, this is going to benefit our students, but then also folks that might be in positions like grant writing, curricular work, thesis writing, and so much more, right? You are able to curate all of your resources within that one document and create that seamless workflow that no other word processing tool can offer, which is amazing. Another feature, and this addresses that collaboration piece a little bit more, are smart chips. Smart chips were developed to, again, make that collaboration more flexible and helpful. So, for example, if you have students working on a group project together and they want to embed files from Drive or tag other students into that group work, they can do that right in their Google document by typing the @ sign. Once you have the @ sign and you type someone's name, what's going to happen is that smart chip is going to appear. And when you hover over their name, that smart chip, you're going to have some additional information appear. So you'll be able to quickly start a chat with them, send an email to them, set up a video call. All of that happens by creating that smart chip. So it just, again, makes that collaboration so much easier, keeps that creation process moving quickly and seamlessly for everyone without having to be physically together in a room. So vital, especially nowadays, right? So we are going to create together. I'm going to give you a look at the Explore tool, the Citations tool, and Smart Chips. So if you are following along with us, again, we are on page 7 of our Google Doc, and we're looking at this application activity. If you would like to, you can click on this Make a Copy of our activity doc, and it's going to prompt you to force copy your own version of this document so you can edit it and try these tools out alongside of me if you so wish, okay? I already made a copy of this, and so when you click that Make a Copy, you're going to have a Google document that looks similar to this. So I've done a little bit of pre-work, and so you will see this top portion of this Google document with the sample assignment and then the directions. So in this scenario, what we've done is we've said, a group of students are going to be working together. They're going to be researching the role of gender in advertising, and they are going to pull in this research into this document and work on citing those sources and creating a bibliography. Okay, that is the purpose, the goal of this assignment. Again, I've done some pre-work, so you will not see this table if you are creating your own copy of this document on your doc. Okay, this is something that I have already done. I've inserted into my document in advance, so I didn't have to do all of this live with you, okay? But again, if I'm looking at web resources and wanting to pull in some information on gender and advertisements from the web, I can use the Explore tool to do that. So that is going to be located in the bottom right of your Google Doc. You have that Explore tool in the bottom right. I can open up that Explore tool and it's going to open this sidebar. Okay, and so now I can search for docs for web content. Now, Google's AI, I love it sometimes. When I have topics in my document already, I can click on this gender advertisement, which is something that I've already searched for or looked for, and now it's going to pull up all of those web results. So if I hadn't done this research in advance, I could click on one of these resources I pulled from this third source, this Vox source. So I could click on this. It's going to open up the article. I could read it and I could pull my research, my information into my document. Again, I've already done that though. So I have this Vox source and now I need to give credit where credit is due, right? So on this resource, I can click on the quotation marks and it is now going to create a footnote citation for that source. So it pulls that into the bottom footnote of my Google Doc. Right there, I have that already cited for me. So again, teaching that digital citizenship for our students, making sure that they are giving credit to sources. Wonderful for our web-based research, that data, that information. But if we want to use print materials or other types of media, we can use the citations tool to do that. So I can go to my tools menu and I can open up my citations tool. Okay, this again is going to open a sidebar on the right of my Google Docs screen. And now here I can choose the formatting of my citation. I have 3 choices right now, MLA, APA, Chicago. And then I can add my different citations that I use as I was doing my research on gender roles in advertising. So I can click on this Add Citations Type. And now here I have 2 fields that I can select from. So I have my source type. I can click on that drop down arrow and I can choose what type of media I was looking at. I can just choose book here. I'm going to leave that as the default. And now how did I access that? Print, website, online database. If I choose this print option, notice I can now just search with an ISBN number. So if I have that information available to me, I can click on that and it's going to pull in all of that data for my book. And I don't even have to do that manually. Amazing. But if I don't have that ISBN number, or if I just have the book sitting next to me and I want to cite it manually, I can click on this Cite Manually option. And now I have all of these fields typical to how I would normally cite my sources, right? Finding my author information, my title, my publisher, and I would complete all of these fields. Okay, now I again did some pre-work in here and I have some resources that I already used. I found a YouTube video and then I also was looking at a book, Gender Differences in Advertising. So I can curate all of my resources there. And now when I'm ready, I have all of my resources. I can either cite these individually by hovering over those resources and choosing cite, or I can insert a whole work cited by clicking that bottom blue button that says insert work cited. Boom, it pops it into my document. Love it, time saver. Again, where was this when I was in school? So helpful. Okay, so that covers the citations piece. Okay, now let's talk a little bit about those smart ships with that collaboration. So I'm working with Kelly. We are doing this research on gender and advertisements. So I want to tag her into this document so that she knows that I want her to add information into this, share her research that she has completed. So I'm going to type the @ symbol and then I'm going to start typing Kelly's name. And right now it appears as a smart ship and I can hover over her name and I have the ability to email her, start a chat with her, start a video call with her, or even schedule an event with her. Okay, so I can do that with people. I can also do that with files or events that I have. So I can again type that @ symbol, and if I want to share a PDF that I have in my drive and I want Kelly to use it to take her own research and notes from, I can start typing the file name that I have in my drive. And now here down below, I have this file section, and here's this PDF that I found, this gender roles in advertising, that I want Kelly to take a look at and take notes on. So I'm going to click on that file, and now again, here it is in my Google Doc for Kelly to be able to access. So everything is now housed right here. All of our project work, all of our information is all accessible to Kelly and myself. Amazing. Makes it so seamless, and I just feel like I'm using Google Docs more and more for my project creation. I know we still have a lot more Workspace features to talk about and share, and we have a short amount of time left. So we're going to go back to Kelly, and she's going to share a little bit about Google Sites, and then I will wrap it up with Google Meet. So Kelly, you are going to take it away with Google Sites. Oh, okay. No problem. I'll go ahead and get us started with Google Sites. So looking at Google Sites, thank you, Brenda. I saw that note. Thank you. So Google Sites can give us a window into learning for any number of audiences. In our school scenario, the school counselors are facing a new graduation requirement that requires graduating seniors to have a digital portfolio for their work. So we are going to talk about this challenge of how we can find a consistent and published solution for viewing outside the classroom, and Google Sites is a perfect way for doing that. So a great number of schools and students are turning to the new Google Sites to design a portfolio of their learning. And district staff are finding Sites as an easy way to curate content and resources for quick access, providing an intranet within their teams. And because of the ability to share, edit, access, student project teams are enjoying the flexibility of using Sites to house all the project work, presentations, and solutions from a single URL link. So let's go into some of these updates with Google Sites that are making it easier for our schools. Again, if you are following along with us, we are going to be on page 10 of our guidebook. So on page 10 of our guidebook, you're going to see our Google Sites information, and we're going to talk through these updates, and then also we'll go into this application activity, this live demo of Google Sites. Okay, so remember those nifty domain templates within Google Sites? Google Sites has them, let me go back. Remember those nifty domain templates? Well, Google Sites has them too. Think about our school counselors needing a starting point for those seniors working on their portfolios. Starting from a school-created template can ensure that you have all the right components for your project without limiting their creativity to build more. A site can have images, links, content from your tribe. Let your imagination think big. Sites can do it all. It's so amazing. In addition to this, each created site, whether you're starting from scratch or from a template, lets you add collaborators with view or edit access. So student projects are amazing with Google Sites because together they can build and publish so that just a few or an entire world is the audience to your learning. So when we think about having our students work on projects and sharing it out to an authentic audience, this is where Google Sites comes into play, right? We want to make those projects really feel real and relevant to our students. Let's use them. Let's use Google Sites to do that. In addition to this, like other Workspace applications, Google Sites can monitor your version history. So you can find that feature using the three-dot menu. After publishing, you can monitor what is visible in the wide world by using different options in the Publish drop-down menu. You can preview what it looks like on different types of devices or review changes with a side-by-side view with the current versus the drafted changes before updating it publicly. So this allows you to maybe catch those typos, look at sizing problems that you might have, just making sure that you check out that stage before you put it out for the public. This has definitely saved a lot of embarrassment before going live to the whole world or to your audience to see. Okay, for the sake of time, I'm going to skip this live demo of this Google Sites because I do want to make sure we get to Google Meet. But I do want to point out in our guidebook that we are on page 10, and here on page 10, you will see this Sites application activity so that you can go in and you can see that template gallery and choose a template of your choice. So this application activity here, feel free to do that as an extra credit assignment if you so wish. You can try that out on your own. And if, again, you want to learn more information about those updates, feel free to check out our step-by-step guide or this portfolio lesson plan. Okay, but we're going to go right back to Google Meet because I do want to talk about how far Google Meet has come and some of the great new updates that are available in Google Meet that are helping schools across the world and being able to connect schools across the world. Okay, so schools are definitely loving the fact that Google Meet is so integrated into the Google ecosystem, right? It has built-in features that allow us to connect with students, families, and fellow educators around the world. One problem, though, that we're encountering is when we're working with diverse populations, language barriers are a huge issue, right? That's something that we have to address. It's a challenge that we need to face. And so when communicating with families, a lot of superintendents, school leaders worry that a home language barrier is going to prevent families from getting the important information that they need. But now Google Meet has some new features like recording transcripts, translation captions that school leaders can use to be able to communicate with those stakeholders. And a lot of these schools now are able to use these features, to use these tools so that we can make our communications more transparent, making also parent-teacher conferences easier to do, school board meetings, and so on. Being able to communicate across languages is so important, and Google Meet has addressed this challenge that schools have been facing. So looking at this, we are going to dive into some of these newer Meet features that are just transforming the possibilities of schools connecting. Again, if you are following along with us in our guidebook, this is on page 9 of the guidebook. You will see the Google Meet information and some of those features that we're going to be talking about. Okay, so Google is making it super easy for us to share our screens by using the Present to Meeting button that's now built into Google Docs, Slides, and Sheets. You probably have noticed this appear next to the Share button in those different Google Workspace for education applications. But this feature makes it really easy for us to connect our Google products more seamlessly together. You can now present and see participants and your content at the same time back in that Meet tab. So you can do both, and it just makes everything visible to everyone that's participating. But for me, this is where Google Meet has become just more amazing and goes back to addressing that school challenge that we're facing. And that is the fact that live captions in Google Meet can now be automatically translated as you speak. I'm going to demo this because this is a wow for me, but I want to go through a couple more things and then I'll come back and show you how this works. So this is going to solve a lot of those, as we mentioned, district level communication challenges that school leaders face when working with diverse populations speaking multiple languages. So those translations of those captions are offered right now in Spanish, German, French, and Portuguese. Okay. Those are the current languages that are available, of course, hoping to continue to develop that, grow those as we, grow and learn more about what teachers and schools are needing. But captions are available in normal Google Meets, but they're also available in live streams. Okay, so a user now has the option of enabling captions when starting a live stream. Again, those captions for live streams are available in the same languages: English, German, French, Spanish, and Portuguese. Why is this so amazing? Well, captions on live streams can make it more accessible, of course, for all of our different language speakers, but then those that may be hard of hearing users or those that prefer just to read text rather than listening to get more out of a meeting. So that is available as well in live streams. Okay, speaking of live streams, another new upgrade to live streams that you can now extend the viewership of live streams to guests outside of just your organization. So admins can designate trusted Google Workspace domains for Google Meet live streams. And once those have been added, you can invite users in those trusted domains to view live streams hosted by your organization. Why does this matter? Well, cross-domain live streams allows you to extend the viewership of your live streams, and then not only people in your organization can be a part of it, but people outside in those trusted workspace domains can also access that. So again, just that ability to connect with schools across the world, having parents and other stakeholders be a part of things that are happening within your schools can just be so powerful, so amazing. So that is another new upgrade that's to live streams and available in live streams. Okay, so this is something that isn't necessarily new, the polling and Q&A tools, but it is something that just makes our Google Meets more engaging and the ability to ask questions and check for understanding. But in addition to it being available within our regular Google Meets, the polling and Q&A tools are coming soon and will be available in live stream events as well. So that's an exciting update to anticipate. Another thing is Meets now allow you to do multi-pinning. So if you have a Google Meet window and you are one that maybe gets distracted by all of the Meet windows that are there, you can now pin those Meets that you want to focus on. So if you are a student and you want to have your teacher and the content there, you could do that. Or if you're maybe someone that needs a language interpreter, you can have the content and the language interpreter up and available to focus on so that you can see both at the same time. Picture-in-picture is also now available in Google Meet. So you can use your Chrome browser and you'll be able to see up to 4 video tiles of a meeting, and then it will appear in a floating window on top of other applications. So multitasking makes it is a lot easier with that floating window and being able to look at different applications as well while you're in a meet. And then finally, meetings support multiple hosts. So this makes it easier to have co-teachers, paraprofessionals, other people helping you facilitate the class. Those other hosts, those co-moderators have the same tools as the main host does. Okay. Really quickly, because I know we are getting short on time and I want to go back and wrap up, I want to go into Google Meet and just real fast show you live how those translations of captions work. Okay, so I'm going to go into my Google Meet. I'm going to start a new instant meeting real quick. Okay, and now here I have my Google Meet opened. I can turn on closed captionings at the bottom. Okay, and it will default to English, but I can click on that settings. I can enable closed captions. And now I can change that language to Spanish, close out, and instantly my captions will be translated. Amazing. I love it. Okay, a lot of information. Kelly, you're going to wrap us up.
Yes, wrapping up. Awesome. Thank you for all of those amazing updates, for sure. Okay, so we have on page 10 and 11 on your guidebook, we have a couple extra credit bonus things that we wanted you to be able to take away. Again, there is so much stuff that's coming at us that's new from Google Workspace for Education. And so we wanted to make sure that those practice sets and data studio, originality reports, and all the great Meet and doc updates were shared. However, there are some things within Slides and Drive that are notable and should be mentioned. So we wanted to make sure that we sent you away with an activity sheet on both of those. So you can find those again on page 10 and 11 in your guidebook. What you can also find in your guidebook on slide 13, I believe, will give you access to the features we discussed today with the teaching and learning upgrade. We also, like I said, you've got the extra credit in there, so you can look through that. Here's that free trial, page 13. And just some more information that you can click through there as you get the chance. So we just want to thank you so much for giving your time. I think I have like 50 seconds, so we fit it all in, and that is wonderful. Again, we here at 5 Star, and of course others like us, are here to help. We are here and ready to support you if you have additional questions around any of the Google Workspace tools or any of the upgrades to the licensing. You are welcome to contact us. Our email is on the screen, 5startech.com. Otherwise, we bid you a very, very nice day. Hopefully it's sunny wherever you are, and enjoy the rest of your week. Thank you so much.